All right, welcome back to Green Lizard USA. If you didn't catch the last video, I was taking this 174 Penobscot and restoring it. So I started off by removing all of the gunwales and deck plates. And then I rolled the canoe over near my wood stove, which gets pretty hot, and got it moldable so that when I eventually would put clamps on it, it would be able to straighten out the shape. And it did a pretty good job. Then I went ahead and just marked the spots on the side of the hull where the previous rivets were while I had it sitting here, so I wouldn't re-drill in the same spot. Got my clamps off, and it actually retained a pretty decent shape. There's the old one, and if you look at the new one, it's a lot better. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better. And here I am getting ready to start the job, putting the two different sides of the gunnels in, or gunwales, I think is how it's spelled, but it's a gunnel. Got those positioned in the boat, got my deck plate or end cap, and my rubber mallet, which is the only tool you actually need to install these rails. So you'll see me start from one end and basically just kind of work the edge of that gunnel over the edge of the hull. And it worked pretty good. Certainly many of the things that I end up doing, it's a one-person operation, but having a helping hand would be great. I actually had a whole bunch of clamps that are laying in the hull that were ready to go if I needed them, but it kind of seemed more cumbersome. So I, again, just started on one end and started working my way to the middle. And you'll see me kind of struggle here when I got to the center spot. That was where I had that really significant bend in the side of the boat that I repaired in the previous video. So I actually just went to the other end of the boat and got it started and worked my way back to the middle, which ended up being a little easier method. So if you're doing this, I'd recommend starting on one end, getting, 3 or 4 feet connected on, and then hop to the other side, do the same thing, and work your way back to the middle, and you can kind of force the gap to close up. And just tap it on, and it's done with the side. I repeated it for the opposite side of the boat, but in this case, that side was a lot more undamaged, a lot less damaged. So I would imagine this is similar to how they do it in the factory. It's probably pretty easy because the boat has a nice curve to it. So I just started it at one end, just like you can see, tapping along the way with my mallet and working it all the way to the other end. In this case, it worked flawlessly. I mean, I almost could have done it from the very end. And that's it. There's the finished product with the gunnels. And now you can see the installation of what's called the deck plate. It's where you have your handle molded in there. You can see a little channel to where that rail needs to fit. You can see it on the outside and the inside, but those rails need to come up inside the deck plate and terminate at a certain spot. So I had to use my rubber mallet again and tap the rails or the gunnels back towards the deck plate. Got them in the right spot so that everything aligned well. You can see right there that everything was ready to go. This way, when you put the deck plate on, it can be riveted through the deck plate, through the rail, and into the boat. So this part took a little bit of muscle. I don't know if this is the proper way of doing it or if there's a better way, but basically I just got one side on, kind of pushed it in place. It sort of snaps in. And probably because this canoe had a fair bit of damage, I had to push pretty hard. But I'd recommend if you were doing this to kind of pull the hull apart with one hand and then jam down on the deck plate with the other. Eventually it pops right in, there you go, and it's good to go. And then you can just tap on the nose and drive it back into the right position. Pretty easy, anybody can do it. There's the old front. And there's the new front. So in my opinion, it's greatly improved and fixed. So after you actually push the pieces on, certainly you have to actually attach them. And you just saw that picture there, that was all the tools you needed. You just drill your 3/16 inch diameter holes, force in a rivet. In this case I use the one supplied by Old Town because they're black. And you get your riveting tool out and snap them all on. It's pretty easy. Next step was to do the exact same thing on both sides of the gunnels. So I got my drill with my 3/16 inch diameter bit and drilled all the way down. And each time I drilled, I went ahead and just pushed the rivet in with my hand so it would hold the position. And all you need to do is just push down with your body weight and it holds just fine. And here you can see the side of the boat with all the rivets pushed in. Again, all I did was push down with my body weight. You don't have to clamp it, just push it all the way down, drill, slide the rivet in.
All right, so if you've never used a riveting tool before, this is basically how it works. So just for demonstration purposes, I cut this little plastic block, which is about the same thickness of the inside of that canoe, and I drilled a hole, which is the right size for this particular rivet. And this drill bit is 3/16. So you drill your 3/16 inch hole, and that will fit the head of the rivet. So the crimping end is this black part, and basically your riveting tool grabs this little shank with the grippers inside the jaw of that tool I first showed and pulls it against this little head, which you see as a rivet, like what you see on the outside of the canoe right there. And basically it pulls that aluminum rod forward, and it pulls this little, looks like a nail head, kind of back through the crushable black sleeve. In this case it's black just because Old Town wants their rivets to look good. They don't want to see a shiny rivet on a black piece of nylon, so it's just a black rivet head. So basically you stick that sucker in there just like that, and then you put your riveting tool over the head just like that, crimp it down, and I'll show you the back. On this one, as it's crimped down, you can see at the end you're left with this nice rivet head, and on the other side that black part is crimped, so it's not possible to go back through the material.
So I went ahead and riveted the whole side of the boat, working my way down one at a time. I did this all manually with a hand-powered riveter, but there are corded ones you can buy or pneumatic ones that take the fatigue off the operator or the person using it. But it did about 70 and it wasn't too bad. Then repeated the same thing on the opposite side, drilling each time. Again, pushing down with my body weight, no need for clamping. And then pushing the rivet in the hole that I just created. It's pretty easy drilling in plastic. It's really not so bad. It's a nice soft material. And again, you can see a quick hand down the side. All those spikes would be pretty mean if you left it like that, but it turned out pretty good. Then use my riveting tool, came down the side of the boat, tightening each rivet one at a time. It's pretty easy going. Those rivets lock up pretty tight, and that rail is not going to go anywhere. I think this is something anybody could do. And it turned out great. I think the repair was a success, and this $225 canoe is looking a lot better. Hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to like and subscribe and keep coming back. The next video is going to be awesome. So I'm going to cut the end off the canoe and start building that square stern transom where the power unit will be. So come on back and we'll see you next time.